talking point tonight on India at 9. We've in a sense packed in 3. Can India ever qualify for the Football World Cup? And joining us tonight on this talking point, Karim Bensharifa is making his comeback here, Chief Coach of Pune FC here in the studios. Kishore Bhimani is the senior journalist joining us from Kolkata. Shirish Kulkarni, President LFC International Football Academy from Pune, and Novi Kapadia, as always, football analyst. Good evening, gentlemen. Thanks very much for joining us. And I have to tell our viewers, I've also managed to bring in Sanjeev Mukherjee to carry forward this debate. Sanjeev, when we were setting up the topic, someone said we were being very optimistic even setting up this topic.
Very, very optimistic. And also, you know, it's possibly a travesty of justice that here we are supposed to be sitting hours away from kickoff and we are supposed to talk about Brazil, the fact that football has returned to its spiritual home, or the fact that Pele has apparently tweeted somewhere that the players should not have sex because they will not be able to perform. We would have...
And we're making you talk about India.
India, and we should have been talking about such interesting things. But of course, this is the housing
just
question.
Just to dip into it and let you talk all about football.
Maybe. Okay, let me go to Novi Kapadia first. Novi, the fact of the matter is that 1950, India qualified for the Football World Cup in Brazil, which was the last time it was held in Brazil. We were supposed to be playing in a group which had Paraguay, Italy and Sweden, I believe, and we would have possibly made progress. We didn't go because we wanted to play bare feet. Also the fact we were scared of a ship journey for 1 month. Fast forward 64 years, we are nowhere in the scene. Why will we never ever possibly make a World Cup final?
Well, we lost a golden opportunity then, when really there were no sporting rival for football. I mean, cricket hadn't developed so much. And, you know, football could have left a mark on a newly independent country if we had had the courage to go for that 1950 World Cup. There were so many reasons. You know, the All India Football Federation also dilly-dallied, and we had a lot of talented players then. But now we're continuously slipping. I think we shouldn't start this argument. We should first try and move up in Asia. At least come in the top 10 in Asia, then you can have a realistic hope of trying to qualify for the World Cup. We are nowhere near the top 10 in Asia. Also remember, World Cup qualifiers for 2018 will start in 2015.
Yeah, but if I could take you back in time and stay on with the fact that, yes, a lot of people say that possibly that was a missed opportunity. That's where India was left behind. We won the Asian Games gold in 1951 and 62. We finished fourth at the Melbourne Olympics in 56. But the last 50 years, we have not moved forward. In fact, I was speaking to a former veteran football of India, a very highly capped and highly respected player, and he said that Indian football is still stuck at 1974. That's when total football started and rocked the world, but we are still stuck in 1974. Why is that?
India has remained stagnant. That is unfortunate. My major problem is that the game is not spread all over the country. Karim is, as a coach, he'll know when he has to choose talent for different clubs.
Right.
The years we played, we had 1960s and 70s, there were 125 tournaments in India. You know, people from all over the states, different from UP to MP, everywhere there was football. Now it's limited to a few states. Though some clubs are making efforts, but it's not enough. See, we have to take advantage of our demographic advantage. That we are not doing at all. You know, the advantage of population, you have tall and strong people genetically in the north of India.
I think the genetics possibly is the Indians' easiest way out, because yes, we have the tall 6 feet 4 inch, 5 inch tall Germans, and we also have 5 feet 7 Andre Iniesta, or 5 feet 6 Diego Maradona, or Lionel Messi. Karim Bensharifa, from the perspective of a coach who's come here to train and coach the top clubs here in India, what do you think is the problem with Indian football? Why is it that we are lacking behind so much, and why is it that possibly every 4 years during a World Cup we will be asking you the same question?
Well, it's a vast question, because if we go through the details of what's missing or what can be improved, there are a lot of things. But I think I agree with Novi. I have read recently the statement by the captain of India, Sunil Chhetri. We should go step by step. I mean, in my opinion, we should talk about first becoming a power in the region, and then if we can do that, then we can compete with the best in Asia, which is Japan, Korea, who are in the World Cup.
Right.
When we do that, then we can have a chance to go and make it to the World Cup like these countries.
Right. Let me bring in Kishore Bhimani into this. Kishore Bhimani is certainly one gentleman who knows a lot more about not only cricket but also football and any other Indian sport. Kishore, you've been covering this for decades. There are the same reasons which everybody says: no professional structure, no grassroots level football, lack of coordination between All India Football Federation and the clubs. What, according to you, has been the bane for the beautiful game here in India to go to the next level?
I have a minority opinion. You will please forgive me if I, in the presence of people like Novi Kapadia, whom I consider the absolute guru of football, Ben Sharifa, of whom I'm a great admirer, I shouldn't be speaking, but since I am here, may I put forward a minority point of view?
Please go ahead.
I think this business has nothing to do with not having opportunities, not having skill, not having great coaches, nothing like that. I think there is something racial about it. Do you realize that, for example, take athletics, 100 meters, 200 meters, what is it that a white man never wins this except in 1972 when the people, the Afro-Americans, were missed the heats and Valery Borzov, the Russian, went and won it.
Right.
Why is it that heavyweight boxers, since the days of Rocky Marciano, are men of color 9 times out of 10? There's something racial about it. I noticed in a program like this 3-4 years ago,
Right.
when the last World Cup was on, there were 739 people in the center playing football. Of them, only one person out of the 739 was half Indian, half French. My point is, it's nothing to do with not having skill, not having enthusiasm, not having the right diet, nothing like that.
Right.
It's a question of some people are good at something and some people are not. I mean, you will find this in across the world in sports. I have traveled around the world. I've seen World Cups. I have seen, of course, most of the cricket World Cups. But quite apart from that, I love soccer. I was a soccer commentator for 3 years before better people like Novi Kapadia came on the scene.
Right. But,
And
in a sense, I have to.
I love the game enough to do that, and that is my opinion. It's something racial, you know.
I do not agree with you, but at the same time, obviously there would be some people who would actually agree with you, while the others, Kishore, would say that that's simply throwing in the towel. But if I could bring in Shirish Kulkarni, you are the man who's brought a Liverpool Football Academy, the massive Liverpool club, the brilliant English football organization here in Pune. You've opened the International Football Academy. The fact of the matter is that, yes, corporates need to be supporting the game. Yes, there needs to be more money pumped into the game. There needs to be a more rising awareness levels. As far as excellence is concerned, we need to get more ideas, innovation, also coaching help, support, and the way you're doing it with Liverpool and Pune. Do you think that is the only way forward right now for Indian football?
Well, I don't think that is the only way forward, but that is one of the most important way what we should look at. Because yes, corporates need to support, because the game is going to require a lot of money to go in, because there is no infra. But I believe that I do agree somehow, on the earlier comment as well, that there is some sort of a disagreement in between the Indian people, or maybe the organizers or the associations, whatever you want to call them, that for some reason the game has been neglected by some authorities, and that is a fact. But I think with corporates like us, trying to do whichever way they can. I mean, let it be an academy way, the way which I have done it, or let it be supporting maybe some young 15-16-year-old boys to make sure that they get the right kind of football education.
Right.
But yes, these things are necessary, and I think we should responsibly move ahead with it.
Right. Well, what Shirish is doing is absolutely commendable for Indian football in game. There are other questions like, why have corporates like JCT or Mahindra United, why have they walked away from the game? Has that also led to decline of the clubs in Punjab, Kerala and Goa? We'll be back with a lot more right after the break. Welcome back. You're watching India at 9 here on CNN IBN. Will India ever, or rather never, make the World Cup final? That's the housing question. Novi, if I could come back to you with the fact about history. They say a practice makes a man perfect. If you're at a sport, if you keep trying for years and decades, it makes you even better with time. But the fact is that that does not apply to Indian football. We have a Mohun Bagan club which is historically as significant as a Real Madrid. It's older than Real Madrid, but look at where Spain is. Number one, we are 154. How does it work?
Well, they're wallowed in nostalgia, Mohun Bagan. I mean, the 1911, there was no youth development. I mean, Karim will bear me out. It's barely started. They just expected that talent will keep coming and we'll continue. They weren't really challenged Mohun Bagan East Bengal, by other Indian clubs for many, many years. So they took their position for granted. Now that the challenge is coming up, the last 10 years, a Kolkata team hasn't won the I-League. And
But why would you only blame a club? We have 29 states in India, only 2 or 3 are working for youth football development. And now what about the others?
Absolutely, that is the major problem, and a lot of the state associations only exist on paper. They are just there for a vote bank politics, to use an old phrase which was very popular during the elections.
Right.
So that is really the problem. You've got to spread the game all over India. You know, taking on what Kishore said earlier, partially that's true. The 62 team had Jarnail Singh,
Right.
6 foot tall. You had several players, PK Banerjee, well built. You know, you had the team which won the Asian Games gold medal.
Right.
You had the 56 team. You had people like Latif, Noor
Right.
Mohammad, Aziz, all who were in the region of 6 foot. Peter Dangraj was 6'3".
Yeah.
So you had that, you know, the genetic build also. So you have to find some of those players like that.
Karim, we are not looking for a quick fix solution. I'm sure no problem can be solved here in television studios, particularly with Indian football the way it is. But how do you see this going forward?
Well, I think there is some base that starts. You know, we discussed this 4 years ago. Now we are in 2014. I think it's better because there is some projects going on. Whether when it comes to, there is some national, about 4 national academies all over India now started building the youths. There is more coaching courses, and there is clubs also who are working really in the best way when it comes to youth developments. Take
Right.
Salgaonkar, take Dempo, take Pune FC. All these clubs are working for the youth development, and that's
Right.
the key. We need to start from the grassroots
Right.
level and then be patient and do the right things. And of course, with time, we will be there.
With time we'll be there, but unfortunately we are completely out of time on this one. But we'll wrap up thanking all our guests, Karim Ben Sharifa, Kishore Bhimani, Shirish Kulkarni, and of course Novi Kapadia for joining us and sharing with us their thoughts and perspective. And you know, interestingly, Anubha, while cricket is #1 in India, there is still hope for football. Why? Because domestic football still has, or rather pulls in much more crowds than domestic cricket does. I'm not talking about IPL, but Ranji Trophy. Domestic football still
Why
does
did you
that.
put it ever on IBN Sports?
Well, we have tried, but it's obvious that you're not
Yeah,
watching.
clean bowl.
You're not watching.
No, thanks very much, gentlemen. And I think it's going to be a football feast for the next 1 month or so. Lots of all-nighters. So thank you, everyone, for joining us here on India at 9.